Okay, so last month we read Red Rising, and I loved this book. It wasn't at all what I was expecting, which was weird. Like, the description that it gives is very not the same as I feel like what the book really was about. So there may be a few spoilers in this, but I'll try to keep it very spoiler low. So if you really want to read this book, you haven't read it, you may want to skip this video, but I'll try to keep it as spoiler friendly as possible, okay? So like the summary says, Daryl basically is a helldiver who has to integrate himself, I guess, into this society on Mars after he discovers that his whole life, his whole existence isn't what he thought it once was. What I just thought was very weird about this book is that it almost leads up to this big reveal very shortly, and then after that it completely switches gears, and the majority of the book isn't even set in where like the reader, I feel like, thinks it's going to be, which is not a bad thing. It's just, I thought it was very strange because you start to learn about these characters after he discovers basically his life is a lie, and he is not forced, he chooses to become a gold and secretly integrate himself in this gold society to take it down from the inside out. It's just the build-up of all these characters that are helping him do this, helping him get to where he needs to go. You meet all these characters and all of a sudden he never speaks to them again. So the majority of the book isn't even about that. It's about kind of him in this game of trying to become an elitist gold so he can take over and corrupt, I guess, the society on Mars. It's very strange, but it's amazingly written. I love the instant action of this book. It's just quick-witted, it's very fresh, the action is always jam-packed. That's probably my only thing that I didn't like, was that it kind of just built up these characters that you learn about just early on, and it just like tosses them aside like they weren't even important at all. I'm assuming they're going to be important in the next few installments because of just what happens, but it's just very strange to me because the majority of the book is set on a battlefield basically, because in order to become a graduate of this gold society, this gold school, so he can integrate himself fully, he has to go through a series of tests, and one of the biggest tests is what a lot of the contestants have to go through is competing, not necessarily competing, but trying to take, it's almost like defend your castle. It's, as stupid as that sounds, it's very similar to defend your castle, and everyone kind of has to defend their castle while trying to take over other castles. And he slowly rises to power, but the author is very good at making it not obvious, I guess you can say, because he gets knocked out a couple pegs a few times, and then you're like, oh shit, like, what's happening? Maybe he's not going to be this person that we thought he was going to be. But it's a very good book. I highly recommend it. I feel like the summary isn't at all what the book is kind of about, but it's a very intense book. It definitely, I think they've already bought the rights for the movie because it's going to be an amazing movie, but there's just so much that goes on, so I have no idea how they're going to compact that into one film. I don't think it's going to be executed very well if they make it only one movie. Harry Potter, Twilight, and now freaking The Hunger Games, they're splitting books that I feel like don't necessarily need to be split, but this book is just the initial book, and I just would be very surprised if it wasn't split, because it's almost like two halves of the book the way it's written. But highly recommend this book. I loved it. I hope you guys loved it. Leave what you guys thought in the comment section down below of what your opinions are, if you hated it, if you thought it was a really good book. The next recommended book is right here. It's by Tamora Pierce, I think. And she has written a lot of books, so I just chose the most recent series. There's actually a sequel series that she's writing right now, but I feel like that would be confusing to start reading. So I went to the prequel, or like the original part of that series, and the first book right here is Sandry's book. It should be Sandry's book, in the Circle of Magic. So we have at least a month to read that. A lot of people don't read that fast and they see these videos late, so I try to make it like a little bit more than a month, like a month and a half-ish. Get to read in. This book isn't as long as Red Rising, which is good, but it isn't first person, which I kind of don't like reading back and forth from first person to third person. I feel like the transition makes the book a lot less interesting, I guess, because it's hard for me to fully immerse myself into that style of writing unless I've read a couple books back to back in that style, if that makes sense. I've seen good reviews on this book, so yeah, that's the end of this book review, and I'll see you guys next time.